was on my way back home after a business trip on the night of July 15th, 2023, driving through the remote roads of northern Arizona. The clock read 2 a.m., and the night was as dark as pitch. My GPS had been acting up, giving me vague directions, and I had never been in this area before. The urge to get back to my family was consuming me. Little did I know that my journey would take a terrifying turn that would lead me into a nightmare. The winding road led through a dense forest with tall pine trees looming on both sides, casting eerie shadows in the dim light of my car's headlights. I knew I needed directions to find my way back to the main highway, so when I spotted a small, dimly lit diner at the side of the road, I pulled over. The place looked deserted, save for a few flickering neon signs and the low hum of a generator. The air inside was heavy with the scent of grease and tobacco. I entered the diner and the dim lighting did little to ease my unease. A couple of patrons sat at the counter, nursing their cups of coffee, and the place was shrouded in an eerie silence. I made my way to the counter and took a seat. The man behind the counter was an elderly fellow, his skin as rough and weathered as the rocks in the Arizona desert. I asked him for directions, and he turned to me with bleary eyes, reeking of whiskey. He mumbled something incomprehensible, and it was clear he was far from sober. My gut told me not to trust him, but desperation led me to follow the directions he gave. The road he sent me down seemed to grow more treacherous with each passing mile. The asphalt gave way to a narrow dirt path, barely wide enough for my car. Twisted branches reached out from the sides of the road, scraping against my car and creating unsettling, ghostly noises in the still night. Panic set in when I realized I had no idea where I was, and my phone displayed no signal. I tried to turn back, but the road behind me had disappeared into an impenetrable wall of trees. I was trapped in the middle of a dark, foreboding forest. My heart pounded in my chest, and the eerie silence outside was oppressive. The forest around me felt like a living entity, and the night seemed to be filled with whispers, distant footsteps, and a mournful howling that echoed through the trees. I wondered if I was losing my mind. The isolation, the darkness, and the unknown threatened to consume me. Every rustling leaf and every snap of a twig sent me into a panic. As I sat in my car, frustration gave way to despair. I knew I had to find my way back, but I was utterly lost. My phone had shown no signs of a signal until finally one bar appeared. It was a glimmer of hope, and I decided to step out of the car to get a stronger signal. I walked deeper into the forest, my eyes fixed on my phone, hoping for more bars. The signal fluctuated and I continued walking, oblivious to my surroundings. The forest seemed to close in around me, and the night grew colder. My footfalls were muffled by a thick carpet of pine needles that covered the forest floor. With each step, I ventured further away from my car and deeper into the unknown. The signal on my phone continued to flicker, leading me deeper into the heart of the forest. Soon the forest swallowed me whole, and the faint glow of my car's headlights became a distant memory. As I continued, I realized that I was well and truly lost. Panic surged through me as the darkness seemed to close in, and the eerie sounds of the forest intensified. I called out for help, but the only response was the howling wind and the rustling of leaves. Days turned into weeks, and I survived on what little food and water I had in the car. I had no choice but to find my way out, but the forest seemed to resist my efforts. I felt like I was being watched, stalked, and hunted. Meanwhile, my family was frantic, unable to reach me, and they had no idea where I was. Desperation led them to contact the police, who launched a search operation. My phone's last known location was traced, leading them to the unmarked dirt road that I had ventured onto. They found my abandoned car, its windows shattered and its tires slashed, but there was no sign of me. The search became a race against time, but the forest seemed to resist their efforts. Then, after 3 agonizing weeks, a break came. A search dog picked up my scent, and they followed the trail deep into the heart of the forest. There they discovered a small makeshift campsite. I lay in a state of near starvation and delirium. I was rushed to the hospital, and my family was finally able to breathe a sigh of relief. I had survived my ordeal in the depths of the Arizona wilderness, but the scars, both physical and emotional, ran deep. To this day, I cannot forget the horrors I encountered during those weeks of isolation. It was as though I had ventured into a realm where time and reality twisted and the line between the living and the dead blurred. I can't shake the feeling that something malevolent lurked in those woods, something that should never have been disturbed. In the Arizona wilderness, I had journeyed into a world where the night itself seemed to come alive with terrors. The memories of those 3 weeks continue to haunt my dreams, and I wonder if I'll ever truly escape the sinister secrets that the Arizona forest holds.